Hey everybody, how you doing? IntoWeapons back again with you. Got a pretty cool rifle to share with you today. Picked it up locally not too long ago and got a pretty decent buy on it. Thought I would do an unboxing video for you here, but what we're looking at here is a CzechPoint, as you can see from the box, and inside the box we have a VZ.58 rifle in 7.62 by 39. This is a D-Technik built by TGI, and these are a little bit harder to come by, and this one's actually, again, brand new in box. It's never been fired, which is really cool, and we'll go ahead and take a closer look at this and what comes in the box. I'm actually going to take the box off the shelf here just because it really messes with the color of the video, so we'll go ahead and pull that apart here and we'll take a closer look at it. Alright, so we'll just take a closer look at what came in the box here real quick. We had a couple 30-round aluminum magazines, which is very similar to, or pretty much exactly what you'll find with the Century Arms American-made VZ.58, except for the difference of color. This one has a nice black finish on it, whereas the VZ.28s come with more of a gray finish. So that's one difference that you'll see here. And later on I'll pull the VZ.2008 and we'll do a little bit of comparison between the two rifles, although there's really not a whole lot of differences. There are a few major ones. So, also what came in the box here is the owner's manual, which is a little bit different from what you'll find from most companies. This actually came in a DVD format, which is kind of nice, or maybe it's a CD. I really haven't used it, so I'm not 100% sure, but has all the operating instructions, disassembly, cleaning, all that good stuff on a DVD or CD, which is kind of cool. Also provided was a sticker from CSA, Czech Small Arms. And also provided was a cleaning kit, and inside the cleaning kit, which I have not opened yet, I'm sure it's just a standard type cleaning kit that gives you all the brushes, you know, that you'll get, all the different rods and everything that you'll need to get down in there. I typically don't use these cleaning kits. I'll use a more, modern cleaning kit that are typically more effective or won't damage your firearms as much when you use them, but there's a few different tools down in there, and I won't pull everything out here. I think you guys kind of get the gist of that, but kind of nice that they provide that in the box with it as well. And then obviously you have the rifle itself, and again we have a side folding D-Technik VZ.58 built by TGI as far as I understand, and we'll give you a kind of a closer up here. And again, the only difference that I really see between this rifle and the VZ.2008 by Century Arms International is the color on it. And you can see there's a patent number there, which is a little unusual. But the color on this is a much darker black finish than what the VZ.2008 and the gray finish that it comes out with. And I'll give you kind of a comparison here shortly. But as you can see, otherwise the visual aesthetics of it is very similar. It has the beaver barf, or what I like to affectionately call the beaver barf. I actually kind of like it. That it's just wood impregnated with plastic essentially, and we have a short barrel, and I'll get into some of those details here shortly. And on the other side here, and of course I should have mentioned as well, it came with a sling. The sling came on it. I don't know if the owner previous to me had that, but we also have the warning sticker on there, and I did look it over. There isn't any wear marks or usage marks on this gun, so it's definitely new in box, which is real nice. The finish, fit and finish is phenomenal in this gun, and there's some of the stampings there for you if you can see that. D-Technik, AS, Czech Republic, TGI, Knox, Tennessee, and then up here we also have, if I can get that to focus there for you guys. Let's see if I can read it for you. It says, it's got the serial number and then SA VZ.58 Sporter caliber 7.62 by 39, so just labeling the caliber and the model and everything. And all the way down to the end there. Alright, so that's kind of what comes in the box, guys. We'll just take a closer look at the gun itself here in a second. Going to compare it to a VZ.2008, some of the major differences between the two, and fit and finish, all that stuff. So we'll pull that out and take a closer look. Okay, so as you can see, I have the VZ.2008 by Century Arms out, which is that American copy of the VZ.58, and thought maybe later in the video we could do a little bit of the comparisons between the two. But as I said here, you can see cosmetic aesthetically they look pretty similar. There's really not a whole lot of difference. Obviously, the main difference between these two, as you're looking at them, is going to be the fixed stock that I put on the VZ.2008. You can do the same thing with the VZ.58. There's really no difference there. So when I got the VZ.58, I did a little bit of research on it. I really didn't have a whole lot of information information on prior to that. Once I got it, though, I was able to determine a little bit more on it. Yeah, some of the major features that jumped out to me, I thought I would go over here real quick with you. But this one is being an early import by D-Technik. It does come with the original Czech Republic barrel on there, which by U.S. legal standards was too short. It was only 15.4 inches. So due to that, TGI actually had to put a barrel shroud on the end of this, covering the muzzle threads and extending it out a little bit further, and then permanently attaching that with a weld and a pin in order to make it part of the barrel, and therefore meeting the U.S. required length of the barrel itself. So that's one thing that I noticed on this. If I wanted to change the muzzle brake on here, what I would need to do is find the weld, remove the weld top, remove the pin, put the new brake on after I remove this shroud, obviously. Put the new brake on, pin and weld that in place, so again it's a permanent attachment, and that's how you would have to go about doing it. So a little bit more hassle than obviously with the VZ.58. You spin it off, you put a new one on. There's no requirements of length on that particular one because the barrel is long enough. The other thing you'll notice on this VZ.58 is that the bayonet lug is missing. And again, I contribute that just to being an early import. Probably the sporting configuration restrictions that was in place at that time probably impacted that as it came in. So beyond those two things, the end of the gun compared to the VZ.58 is almost exactly the same. So those were two of the major things that I noticed on this particular variant from D-Technik. The other thing I noticed that compared to the VZ.58, the action on this gun is like glass. It's much better than the VZ.58. There's no question about that. That was the first thing that stood out to me as I checked the chamber and I worked the action. And that goes for the trigger as well. The trigger is superb. One of the best triggers actually I've felt out of the box in a long time on any gun. In fact, I'll come over here and kind of try it out on camera here for you guys. As you can see, as I pull back here, it has very little creep and a very, very crisp brake. There really isn't any noticeable effect of when that brake is going to occur. It pulls very small and it brakes. It's very easy, very nice pull. I'd say probably exactly 3 pounds. And the reset on it is very nice. A little bit of an audible click, and then another clean brake. So the trigger on this is superb, and I think that was one of the big issues that Century had was the proprietary design of the fire control group in the VZ.58. In fact, I think they were sued. Century was sued by the Czech Small Arms, or D-Technik or whoever it was, on use of their fire control group. So Century actually had to make an alteration of the fire control group in here, and I think it's the tabs or something that runs inside there. And the change or modification that Century did to the fire control group adversely affect the pull and the feel of the trigger, and I think that's one of the biggest complaints that people have with the VZ.58. So fit and finish, trigger pull, all that stuff on this gun is superb. They really knew how to do it in the Czech Republic, and the rifles really speak to that. So that's one thing I really wanted to stick out and point out as well. The other thing that you'll notice is the difference of finish on especially the magazines. I think that's where it's most apparent. Here's the VZ.58, and I think most of you are familiar with that grayish look. They are aluminum magazines, but it has a grayish tint to it, whereas the VZ.58 has a black finish to it. And from what I understand, they all start out like this. The Century doesn't making their own magazines. This is surplus magazines coming in that they're ordering and reselling. And as far as I understand, they all start like this. D-Technik just took it a step further and reapplied an additional coat over the top for extended durability, and that's what I've read. I'm not really 100% sure on that, but that's one thing. Obviously, the color of those that stick out. Durability, I haven't been able to test it, so I can't tell you one way or another if it helps or does not help. The finish on the gun itself on the VZ.58 is a black finish, but it's a matte finish, so it doesn't have any sheen to it. Compared to the VZ.58, that is a black finish again, but it has a sheen to it. It's got a little bit of shininess, and it reflects some of that light. So that's kind of a nice finish on there. The fingerprints wipe away real nicely on it. They just put a little bit more attention, I think, into that. That's really the only differences between fit and finish that I can think of. The only other major difference between these two rifles is the fact that the safety mechanism works a little bit differently, and I'm guessing that's contributed to the fire control group differences that had to be made. But with the VZ.58, as you can see here, it rotates from forward into the down position, forward, down, whereas the VZ.2008 rotates from down to reverse down. So just an alteration of the change on that. That's really the only differences between the two rifles that I found, guys. What I'll do is I'll break down the VZ.58 real quick here just to give you a look on the inside. And there's really not much to see, but again, this was brand new in box, so the interior, the insides of it was immaculate. And there's the bolt face and carrier and bolt, all that stuff. I'm really not going to pull all that apart just so I can throw it back together here without having a big issue. And on the inside here then we have the fire control group. And again, I can't tell you a huge difference on what, between this and the VZ.2008. I imagine, as far as I remember, it's something to do with this tab. I think VZ.2008s have a larger one that comes all the way across, and that again adversely affects that feel of that trigger pull and the carrier and the action and all that stuff. But everything in there is extraordinarily clean. Everything looks really good. The folder on this is really tight. In fact, I have to get some leverage on it in order to get it to work. Kind of set it down and push up on it. And same thing for releasing it, just a little bit tight. But that's typically out of the box pretty normal. You work that in with a little bit of grease or something like that, or just usage will generally help that along. Towards the front, I don't know if I really want to break this down for you, but I guess I will. Not a huge deal, but you got your dust cover, cap, tube cover kind of thing. The one thing I noticed is that pulling out the piston here from inside is much easier than my VZ.2008, and that's one thing that I struggled with. I had to do a little bit of sanding on my VZ.2008 piston in order to get it to actually even remove. It was kind of a bear, but this one comes out very easily. As you can see there, again, clean. There isn't any residues or anything left behind, which is real nice. And I've noticed again that there is one serial number on here on the front trunnion, which I think I gave you an overview of earlier. There isn't any other numbers on this gun anywhere else, so except for maybe a couple proof marks and things like that, quality control stamps. Nothing else is serial numbered, which was kind of unusual. So that's the inside and outside of the gun, guys. I am excited to have it part of my collection. It's brand new in box, never been fired, so I'm kind of hesitating on whether I want to bring it out to the range and shoot it. I was really kind of hold on to the VZ.2008 instead, mainly because it's got an interchangeable brake system that I can put on any brake that I want. It's got the bayonet lug on there, which I really like. And there's really not a whole lot of collectability to the VZ.2008 yet, whereas this one, that maybe I'll just flip it and keep the VZ.2008. I'm really struggling with that decision, guys. So that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, as always, I appreciate you watching. Until next time, take her easy.